Good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the 20-minute fashion distraction. I am Jackie Jenkins, the founder of Sophisticated Curations. You know what we do every Wednesday night. We talk total fashion, and tonight is no different. But actually, it is a little different. Well, there's two things. One, missed you guys. Was off for about 2 weeks. Took a little time. Went to the vineyard. Was working on my summer, trying to hold on to my summer tan. Spent some time with some friends down in DC, and just really took a minute just to regroup and refresh. And the other thing is part of my COVID commitment is to sleep 8 hours a night. And I was struggling with holding on to that commitment and reached out and got a little feedback from you viewers. Hi, Van, and decided to move the show an hour up. So I thank you all for being flexible and holding on and doing that. Hey, Judith, so that we can come on at 8:30. And hi, Claudia. And my folks on the West Coast, I know it's not as easy for you. And so what I am working on is definitely getting the shows to be posted on the website. And actually the website, if you're not following Sophisticated Curations on Facebook, please do that. And on Instagram at J Curations, and the website Sophisticated Curations. So I'm going to bring on my guests. We have a great show, as we usually do on Wednesday night, and we are talking vintage fashion. Hi, Sheryl.
Hi, how are you?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. So the way we do on Sophisticated Curations, in addition to shopping our closet, and that's why vintage is so going to be so great to talk about, we do introductions by giving a formal, and then I share a little personal. So I'm going to quickly read this awesome bio. And I was just sharing with the group that we changed the time of the show to 8:30. So I just said thank you all for being flexible in doing that. So Sheryl Roberts is a jack of all trades and master of most. I love that she says that. She is a professional model and actress with more than 20 years of experience, as well as an ex-wife, mom, and entrepreneur with a passion for vintage. She is a self-professed tomboy who has played 5 different sports in high school and had a track and field scholarship for the University of Texas, Arlington. And that just goes to show you, you cannot judge a beautiful book by its cover and what they're able to do on the sports fields. So hooray for you. Sheryl is a fierce competitor. She's a Southern girl, born and raised in Texas, and she's a foodie. It's so funny. So I have quite a few friends from Texas, and they all are amazing foodies. So I know you.
Love it.
I know the food game is on. I'm going to stop there because one of my questions is for Sheryl is how did you go from the cover of Ebony Essence Total Makeover Heart and Soul to create this amazing lifestyle brand, all centered around vintage and designer? So that's one of my questions. But Sheryl may look familiar, and I know I'm just going on, but there's so many amazing things that I want to share about my guest. Sheryl may look familiar because she's been in over 80 commercials in brands such as Crest, Dove, Southwest Airlines, and Ford. And before we go into the questions, I just want to share a quick personal. So Sheryl and I both had crazy days. And actually Sheryl just celebrated her birthday last week. So happy belated birthday. And, it's funny in fashion, everybody talks about it from like the perspective of Devils wears Prada, and they tend to a lot of times focus on the negative. But one of the things that I think people miss about fashion is there is this unique thing because most of the people in the business are creatives and they are birthing an idea, they're birthing a dream. And when they commit to each other, there's this unique social contract. And when they say they will do something, not only do they do it and show up well. So we were going to do the tech check today. Cheryl's day was crazy. My day was crazy. I was like, I don't think we need to do it. Don't worry about it. Cheryl was like, no. We are going to do the tech check. And we did it. And so I appreciate you for holding on to the social commitment of supporting not only just entrepreneurs, but just creatives in the business. So I am going to stop rambling. But I wanted to just welcome you to the show. Jackie's here, who's actually, she's in one of your neighbors in the Brooklyn area. My mom is here. So great to see y'all. So my first question, Sheryl, and it's interesting because a lot of times when you think about fashion, there's so many aspects of the business that you can be a part of, and you have had an opportunity to be on two amazing sides of it, where you went from an actual actual model to an actual fashion entrepreneur. Can you talk a little bit about that journey?
First, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And thanks for anybody that's tuning in. So my name is Sheryl Roberts. My boutique is called The Collective at Indigo Style. It's a cooperative boutique that houses brand new, vintage, small brands that I source from all around the world in custom apparel. And the reason that I started it is because when I came to New York, I actually came as a fashion model, and I did that for about 30 years, I guess. I came at 20, I'm 54 now. So, and at 50 is when I kind of like did a pretty hard stop. So, after that 30 years, I was like, okay, what do I want to do next? And I knew I didn't really want to work in fashion. I didn't want to be a booker. I had no desire to be a stylist. I didn't want to do hair or makeup, but I love clothes and especially vintage. It's what I would wear when I wasn't working. Um, and people would just always stop and ask me, like when I was on my own time, like, oh my God, I like that outfit. Where did you get it? And on occasion, when I would book the job and get there, I would wear vintage. But when I would go to the audition, I would always look the way they wanted you to look. So, like stylists and people, they would say, "What designer is that?" And I'd be like, "Oh, this is Salvation Army, or this is, whatever." Because I actually, when I started, I knew what vintage was, but I never looked at the labels. I just bought stuff that I liked, and I happened to have had a good eye, so I would like have all these really expensive things and great designer brands that I had no idea. Like you couldn't have told me who a Courrèges was or who a, whatever, like just any of the main people that are like so big in vintage right now. I didn't know. I just bought it because I liked it. So that's kind of how I started, just as a hobby, and that hobby just became my passion. And so I eventually was able to go into a little shop and kind of learn a little bit about business. And then from there, I opened my own boutique. And when I opened my own, I saw how hard it was for other small businesses and brands to just even gain entry, you know what I mean, or visibility in stores and in brick and mortar. So I said if I ever had a shop, I would try to seek out small businesses and people that I was always at craft shows with when I was selling vintage and love their product. And I was like, there's got to be a way we can just like put these people in a store so that, they have a steadier income, especially during the months when it's cold and you're not really doing a lot of, outside vending. So
Wonderful. And you raised up a point about building community. And I know over the weekend you did something to build community around your birthday. And can you just talk a little bit about that and kind of how that is a unique part of not only your business, but really what you do to support the Bed-Stuy community?
Well, I've been in Bed-Stuy since 1995. And well, I've been in Brooklyn since 95. I've been in Bed-Stuy since 2000. And I just have been just really, I've really seen how slowly gentrification has taken over the neighborhood. Um, I won't necessarily say I'm opposed completely to gentrification. I just definitely feel like if we're a community and we've created this beautiful oasis of creativity and love and culture and style, then we should also reap the financial benefits of that. And so this past weekend, on Saturday, which was my actual birthday, I threw a block party. That block party took 3 months to get a permit for. They didn't want to give me a permit because I'm on a bus street, but I called every day for 3 months, literally every single day. I called the police station, community affairs for 3 months. And I was like, it's Black Business Month. It's the 2-year anniversary of my store. There are other boutiques. Well, there are a few other boutiques, but they're further down. But they're also anchoring eating establishments on both sides, and they're both Black owned or partially Black owned. And I was just like, we don't really ever get a lot of love on this side of Bed-Stuy. And I just feel like, I want to do something that brings business our way and also allows me to have the vendors that are in my shop if they want to come and participate, and then other vendors too. Like it's just a great way to make money. And I just decided once I got the permit, which was the Sunday before, so I didn't have a lot of time to advertise. I put it together in 2 days. I just said, you know what, however it turns out, it's going to turn out. And I got a lot of vendors. I actually had to turn away some vendors. And I did the vending at half price. Normally to vend with me, it's like $100 or $150. It was $50. Didn't really matter who you were. I wanted it to be really cheap so that people could actually make money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's what we did on Saturday. That's how I celebrated my birthday, having a community block party. And it was literally a community block party. It had every single thing that you could think of that a block party in Bed-Stuy would have. Everything from double dutch, free snow cones, free popcorn, free cotton candy, DJ playing all the old school hip hop, house, just everything, like bouncy houses for the kids, face painting, henna, and vendors that were selling like all types of merchandise. And I just thought it was just a really beautiful day. I think because of the weather, we had less people come than I would have wanted. But when I say I was just so proud to be able to do it, and just the fact that I got my permit, it was just like that was it for me. I was like, I got that permit. Yes, I did. And I know I can do anything else. If I can call every day and get a permit and it take me 3 months, I know that I can do other things. So yeah.
That is all, and that's the power. And Judah says tenacious. That's the tenacious spirit of an entrepreneur. So kudos for you. Actually, one of your vendors, Zinda, is on,
Hi,
and
Zinda.
and Jackie.
I didn't even get to shop Zinda stuff. Zinda has the dopest, especially contemporary fashion.
Mhm.
Sick. It was just like so much going on. Like I shopped and I was trying to get around to everybody, but I couldn't. So I have to like make a special trip to the Bronx to really like shop.
Absolutely. And Jackie confirmed that you have an amazing eye. Jackie's another fan of yours in Bed-Stuy.
Thank
And
you.
so, can you share? And I'm quite sure you've got a ton of them, but at least three tips on how to vintage shop. I mean, there's a few folks on the phone that,
Let me get close to the camera. I want to go ahead.
okay, just tips on how to maximize when you're vintage shopping.
Okay. These three things are like so important when you go to vintage shop. First of all, when you think about vintage, think about vintage is generally something that is 20 years old at least. Um, and it's a difference between thrift and vintage. You can find a great vintage piece in a thrift store. You can find a great vintage piece at a garage sale, any place. So when you go shopping, first of all, just be open minded. Number one, like if you see somebody selling something on the street, stop. If there's a church sale, go in. If someone is like having like a yard sale or a tag sale, go look in your paper, go to an estate sale, and then stop by all of those thrift stores and Salvation Army and places like that. Any place in the world you can pretty much find vintage. I shop everywhere I go. That's number one. So look everywhere for it. Secondly, when you look at vintage, you have to try it on. It's something that I tell people all the time. Vintage clothing is really made for the body. It's not made for the hanger, because when they made vintage clothes back in the day, they were making them literally with quality and detail and care in how they're seaming and darting and the way that they're making it, because they're fitting it literally on a body. Almost even the ready to wear was almost couture in a way that they don't really do anymore. Now it's really like to fit the maximum amount of people in one size. So sometimes when you would see vintage on a rack, it doesn't necessarily look appealing because maybe it's something that's bias cut or maybe it's something that's A line or something like that. But once you put it on the body, that's when it comes to life. So that's the second thing. Try it on. Don't look at the size. Vintage is a weird size. Just try it on and see if it fits. Generally, a lot of vintage runs small. Everybody kind of knows that. So you might have to go up. You might be wearing like a 16 in vintage. It's there's no rhyme or reason to it. You just literally have to look at it, hold it up to yourself, and try it on. And the best way to do that is to know your measurements. You have to know your measurements, because everything in vintage, if you're buying it online or anywhere, it's all about the measurements. So once you know your measurements and you're measured properly, you'll be able to really shop and acquire beautiful things. And then the third thing that I would say that is like really important is when you go into a shop, what you're looking for, at least what I look for, some people look at every single item. when I go shopping for my business, I might be going to 13, 14 stores in a day. So I'm not looking at every single item in a whole big thrift store. When I go through, I do scan racks. Some people are not skilled to do that. But for me, I'm looking at fabric. You know what a new fabric that's from Shein or Walmart or whatever, a cheap fabric and a good fabric. Look for silks. Um, look for prints and great patterns. Look for details. Vintage always has beautiful details, like almost always, and it's always a great pattern or a great color. Those things will help you hone in more quickly on a really great vintage item. But it's just a matter of like scanning the racks and really looking for a good quality fabric. Now, another thing people know, vintage is also polyester. Like, so you have to, once you know the key fabrics that are vintage for each era, then you can kind of really look through and you'll be able to like find great things. You'll know broadcloth or linen or, like a satin jersey or, do you know what I'm saying? Or like really beautiful silk prints. Like you will be able to know and kind of then learn and identify. I mean, that's three, but the last thing is just play. Like vintage is all about being unique and your own, finding like your way. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, don't be afraid to just play. Like I say, when you're in a vintage shop, you come in my shop, I don't care if you buy anything. Of course, I want you to buy something, but like just come in and try things on and play dress up, because you'll always find out something new about yourself, something that you didn't know that you really liked, or a shape that you never thought you would wear. When I was young, I would never have worn a muumuu. Now it's all I wear. I live in a caftan. I live in a muumuu. I love them.
Awesome advice. The chat, you have to go back on and look at the chat in Facebook because it's amazing. Everybody's like, great advice, great advice. And I'm so grateful because from the West Coast, Siobhan is here. So I thank you guys for hanging in there with the change time. So what are you looking forward to wearing this fall? You mentioned a few designers, but what are you like, because hopefully we'll still be going out and about. Like, what are you looking forward to?
Okay. First thing is, for me personally, I do look at the trends. I do see what's forecasted and what's coming, but I just wear what I like. And that's what I suggest people do. Don't necessarily look at like what's in for the season, because what's in for the season might not even look good on you, might not even work for you. So buy what you like and wear what you like. It doesn't matter what the season is. But having said that, what I'm really into right now are 2 and 3 piece sets, suits, like with the vest, with the jacket, with the pants, or with the skirt. I am just living for 60s and 70s suits, especially in pastel colors or in monochromatic colors, and even prints as well. But really, I'm looking for them in solids. I'm just so about that life for the fall. I'm also really into leather, but leather patchwork and fish scale. Um, Chloe just did a whole line of clothing in leather patchwork and fish scale jackets that is so expensive. I was looking at it and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's a direct replica of vintage. So you don't even have to pay $3,000-4,000. They have a jacket that's over $10,000. They're long, double-breasted jacket. It looks like something from 70 Shaft. You can find that. You can go vintage shopping and you can find that. You might not be able to find that exact thing, but if you scour, you'll be able to find those things. So those are 2 things that I'm really looking for. And then the third thing that I'm really looking forward to wearing this fall is denim. I absolutely love denim for the wintertime. I love denim and I love brocade. So those are like just the other things that I'm looking for, just to kind of fill my wardrobe gaps. Like everybody has denim, but I'm looking for like really cool and special denims. Like, like when you look at 60s and 70s denims, it's a little bit different than what you're seeing now in denims, like the stitch work, the detail, the buttoning, just the way they dart and they seam it, and they just, it's a whole nother game. So for me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those kinds of key pieces to kind of fill. And then of course, accessories, hats for sure.
Ooh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. These are so many great ideas. I'm like excited about fall.
Yeah, too.
And Siobhan, I see, yes, everybody's like, yes. So And I think we're gonna have quite a few people visiting New York just to come see
So
you.
they can come online too, and they can also
Oh,
book. If you ever want to shop at my shop, if you just email me and say you want an appointment, you want a virtual appointment, you can sit in your living room. You don't even have to let me see you, although it helps if I can see you. But like, you can literally sit in your room in your bed eating your snacks, and we can do an Instagram video call from right here in my store, and I will literally put everything on mannequins and on a rack in your size, and you can literally shop the entire store. We will take this phone and go around the entire store, and anything that you see, it's like shopping. It's like being here. So I that's like one of my favorite things to do. Like, so when people say, "Oh, I wish I was in New York and I could shop," you can shop. You can shop online. You can shopthrilling.com. You can shop the collective at indigostyle.com. You can do a virtual appointment, and I ship worldwide. So listen, anybody can shop. If you want like style advice, I do that as well. Like, if you have a special occasion coming up and you just literally want to book me for 30 minutes before, while you're getting dressed, because you're like, you know what, I trust her eye. You can do that too. You can say, okay, this is what I'm wearing. So what do you think? Should I do a hat? Should I do this accessory? What should I'm like, girl, that boom, 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 boom. You're all hooked up and you're out the door just that quick. Like, there's just so many services that I offer that I don't think I advertise enough, and I should. I'm really gonna take the time to try to do that more, like, because I do want people to know all of the different things that I offer and the store offers, what we can do.
well, wonderful. This is exciting. One of the things that I say on the fashion distraction is there's things in life that we can't get back, and time is one of them. And so, Cheryl, I thank you so much for making the time. I thank you, audience, for hanging in there, for following. Hey, Regine. We've got some great shopping going on. Once again, give your Instagram
Okay.
and your.
Okay. Okay, I'd love to. So, um, my Instagram is at Indigo Style Vintage. I'm mostly on Instagram. I do post on Facebook, but please don't leave me any messages on Facebook because I never go. It's like, I just, I can't really do both yet. So, check me out on Instagram at Indigo Style Vintage. The store's Instagram is the collective at Indigo Style BKN for Brooklyn. And then if you want to shop with me, you can shop online at shopthrilling.com/indigo style, or you can shop with me at www.thecollective at indigostyle.com. It's
Awesome.
it's pretty easy. And if you forget all of that, all you got to do is just Google and push in Indigo Style. It'll pop up.
Awesome. Well, Cheryl, thank you again. I thank you, audience. I will see you next week at 8:30.
Thank you.
And have a blessed week, everybody. Cheryl, hang on.
Okay.
And I'll see you. I'll see you in a week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Okay.
It really is 20 minutes.
It is. But wait a minute. For some reason, it did not close off yet.